save costs, be more efficient, and move faster. And that's really what I'm going to spend my time on here this morning, and hopefully get through the prepared slides pretty quickly so that we can ask any Q&A that you have. The four things I'm going to try and hit on. The first one is, why are public sector customers adopting clouds? We'll just talk a little bit about trends. The second one is, what is this thing called Amazon Web Services? You may have familiarity with it, you may not. It's kind of foundational, because the third thing we'll talk about is how customers are leveraging Alfresco on the cloud. There's several cloud solutions that are available. There was one gentleman in the audience earlier this morning asked, how can I buy it? Well, there's actually trials that are available online, and there's managed versions that are available online. There's open source versions that are available right in the cloud for you to get started. And then the final thing is we're going to talk about an example of a customer collaboration that used Amazon Web Services, other partners, and Alfresco. Let's get going. All right, a couple of the reasons of why public sector customers are going to cloud. First of all, who's heard of sequestration? Okay, there you go. That's one great big reason. Budgets are just under pressure, and agencies have to cut their IT expenses and save money. Beth actually talked about the need to reinvest to deliver new capability. Well, that's tough when you're in a budget crunch, but one of the things that cloud computing can do for you is help you do that, and I'll show you that in just a second. The second one is agility. It's time is money also, but what's really important nowadays is the ability to get execution moving faster. One agency called the Veterans Affairs actually set up a little cloud sandbox. And that's exactly what they're doing, is using cloud as a way to quickly innovate at a low cost. If it worked, great, they can scale it. If it didn't work, it didn't cost that much. I can just go ahead and throw it away and move on to the next. The third focus area is really to allow you to focus on mission and not on IT plumbing. I'm a 26-year IT veteran in the government space. I spent a bunch of time working on IT plumbing. But that's not where the action is now. The action is out on those mobile devices. The action is reaching your enterprise and the organizations that you do business with. It's not really about playing around with the IT plumbing anymore. And that's one of the things that the cloud can take you away from having to manage. So here's that example of how can you get money to invest if you're stuck in a tight budget situation. This is where cloud does give public sector customers the opportunity to instead of refreshing that next round of internal equipment, plan for a cloud migration. Your compute cost will be lower. You can actually use those dollars that you've got to fund both the service effort to innovate and the cloud element to compute. Here's one quick estimate. This was from IDC. They estimated that the cost of using cloud, and it's a total cost, so it's labor, facilities, power, network, all those things, was 70% lower in a cloud app implementation. So that's one way you can get money back to actually innovate. The next reason is that speed and agility perspective. By just a show of hands, who's worked in data centers or regional centers? Who's familiar with kind of that traditional IT operations environment? It's a good number. That's the world of where it took me weeks or months to maybe get the capability I needed just at that hardware level to get going. With Amazon, you truly have a programmable infrastructure. And literally in minutes, you can be up and running on tens, hundreds, or thousands of nodes with just about any amount of storage that you need to do the job you want, with applications loaded right there for you in real time. For instance, if you need Alfresco, you can get it right there on the cloud. The last one is the focus on mission. And by being able to get infrastructure in minutes, you can experiment often, you can fail fast, you get more innovation because you're spending less time on that undifferentiated heavy lifting. And the last one that we see increasingly, right, is the need to go global quickly. And you want to be able to serve users in a global fashion around the world. We interact with constituents around the world. We interact with governments around the world. Our government organization employees are deployed around the world. So we need a solution that allows us to scale up and deliver performance at that global scale quickly. So that's what some of the reasons are that are driving public sector customers to the cloud: cost, speed, agility, more mission, and global scale. Here's a quick simple diagram of what Amazon Web Services does. Our core offerings are what we categorize as compute, storage, and database. We provide a networking layer for you to access the Amazon services. It runs on top of that global infrastructure. There's 9 cloud computing regions around the world with 33 content delivery nodes around the world. And then we offer select applications riding on top of that basic infrastructure. And then there's tools that help you deploy and administer both the cloud and applications on the cloud, like Alfresco. This is a little bit of an eye chart, I apologize, but I wanted to use this just to make one quick point. This is what's known as the Amazon Web Services console. For everybody who's had experience in that hands-on hardware world, this is kind of a novel approach because you literally have programmable infrastructure. Every one of those icons, that's not a PowerPoint slide, by the way. That's the actual Amazon console that I have. You know, you can look over there, you see it says Max Peterson in that upper right-hand corner over there. This is my Amazon management console. I can literally go into that compute section and click on that thing called EC2, Elastic Cloud Compute, and I can spin up any number of computers that I want of various different sizes, lots of memory, lots of disk, small ones. By the way, you can even do free ones. So if you've got folks in your organization that are innovators and they want to try it out, there's actually a free tier on Amazon that they can use. S3, that's the storage piece, and I'm pointing these out because this is going to be part of the Alfresco story. CloudFormation, VPC, that thing called virtual private cloud, that's real important because government and educational institutions and large corporations are concerned about security. That's a big tool for security. And then the other thing, you'll see that kind of box there with the shopping cart. Looks kind of Amazon-like. That box with the shopping cart is the way that you now literally can buy computing services by pointing, clicking, and buying. And Alfresco is available up in the Amazon marketplace for you to get started in a simple, easy fashion. So this is that whole idea of programmable infrastructure. Literally, I don't have to ship stuff. I don't have to configure cable, power, any of that stuff. I just go to this console, point, click, and ask for however much computer resource or storage or applications I want to get my job done. So here's how public sector customers are using it. There's kind of 3 primary ways, and the first one you'll hear hybrid cloud. It's really when you use the public cloud like Amazon to augment your on-premise computing capability. For government education customers, that's a pretty common model because I've got a lot of in-house infrastructure today, and I've got some applications that are running just fine. Maybe it's not time to refresh any of that, so I can't get any investment dollars out of moving to the cloud, so maybe I'll just run that in that hybrid model. Or maybe it's a real sensitive workload. But then I'll use the cloud to take advantage of the cost savings, to take advantage of the speed and agility. Maybe what I do is I start migrating applications to the cloud as part of my Cloud First project. Or the third thing that people do a lot of times is they've got this great new application they want to try out. Beth talked about a bunch of those. And they look at how can I implement it internally, and they say to themselves, you know what, it's going to take too long and it's going to cost me too much, so why don't I use the cloud first? And so they'll take those new applications, new social applications, new mobile applications that their agency or their organization is trying to roll out, and they'll do them on the cloud first. And so we talked about digital natives. You know, some of these cloud applications are just born for the cloud. Big data, as an example, born for the cloud because you can store a massive amount of data in the cloud and people can get to it and do their computing right there, right? As opposed to trying to move massive amounts of data around to different organizations that all need to contribute or collaborate on that data set. Of course, we wouldn't be adopting the cloud now if there wasn't sufficient confidence in the security of the cloud. And so this is just a real quick slide to let you know that customers today are running multiple different workloads on Amazon that, you know, typically in the past had required a level of security that they thought wasn't available in the cloud. There's a number of commercial third-party certifications that the Amazon Cloud has. There are many agencies running FISMA moderate and FISMA low workloads on the cloud right now. And for government organizations that have critical infrastructure protection or defense ITAR restrictions, there's even a special cloud in Amazon called the US Gov Cloud that has the additional security capabilities above and beyond the FISMA moderate level to be able to deliver that ITAR compliance. In fact, many people, and there's one quote here on the screen, have concluded that they can achieve a better level of overall enterprise security by using these capabilities in the cloud. Sometimes people need assistance to get going in the cloud, so there's a big partner ecosystem. Many of those partners are the same ones that specialize in solutions like Alfresco. And one of the other things I wanted to note on this one was that somebody talked about acquisition and procurement as a challenge. And I've had my fair share of dealing with that. A number of these partners already have available contract vehicles that federal users can access, or state and local governments. So contracts like the GSA schedule, NIH, CIOSP3, ECS3, the NASA SOUP contract, and there's several other vehicles. So for people in government who need to get applications going, not only is this a discussion about how do you get those applications going, but I wanted to let you know that there are people who have partners who have those services on contract today. So you've got a contract vehicle and acquisition path also. And then we support a wide range of technology partners. And there's a great big red bullseye, I hope, on the screen in front of you that shows you Alfresco, because that's where we're going to go next. So let me give a quick highlight and overview of the Alfresco solution on Amazon Web Services. Alfresco really has done a phenomenal job of thinking about the enterprise from the days when most of my data and collaboration was kind of inwardly focused, and I had an enterprise collaboration and content management requirement, to the new world of the cloud, and how do I extend that capability beyond the enterprise? And so Alfresco has announced on Amazon a number of offerings. One of them is the Alfresco Enterprise for AWS. It's an open source enterprise content management platform that runs right on the cloud. It's a full SaaS application. At lunch today, I got the chance to meet David Gilda, who is right up here in front. He's actually with Alfresco, and he was one of the leading forces behind getting this operation up and running on Amazon. So there's a subject matter expert here. For those of you who asked that question, how can I get going fast? This is a great way to get going fast. It's already up, it's on the cloud, it's ready to go. You can configure and use it, or you can have partners configure and use it for you. The next thing that's available is a full